This is our October Story Spotlight, and we're talking to Jessica Harris today, a 20-year veteran of the National Guard and in the Army who had a deployment in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And Jessica, who today is now the founder of K9 Salutes, and we're going to talk about that and her time during service and really how she got to this point today. And we'll also mention that Jessica's featured in a new book that just came out called The 20-Year War. Jessica, thanks for being with us here. Tell me how you got into serving and what were you doing before then that just something either turned the light switch on and said, this is what I'm going to do. And then it became a 20-year career. So talk about that.
So I joined the Army National Guard in 1995, my senior year of high school. The plan was just to get some money for college. This was post the Gulf War, a few years, after the Gulf War, pre 9/11. All the cool Army commercials are out. And so it looks like, just go have some fun for a few years, get some money for college.
Right.
And so that was the plan. I ended up, after a few years, really enjoying what I was doing. I was a medic for the entire 20 years. I continued to serve as what we call a weekend warrior in the National Guard or the Reserves. 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer. This is too easy. Then come 9/11, and I had actually just finished my initial 6-year contract, and I had re-enlisted a few months prior to 9/11. 9/11 happens, and there was just a dramatic shift in, obviously for the whole entire military, but even also a big shift in the reserves and the National Guard and how our mission changed, and just even the tempo of our training. It no longer was only 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer. Those 2-day drills started becoming 3 and 4 days, and the 2 weeks in the summer started becoming 3 weeks, sometimes a whole month. In 2005, I actually took a full-time position, an active duty position within the Guard. And I did that for about a year, enjoyed it, came off orders, was working again, just still in the healthcare field in the civilian sector. And then about 7 months after I started that job, I got a call to see if I would be interested in another active duty position within the Guard with our state's counter-drug program. And so I ended up taking a full-time position with the counter-drug program and finished my career out through about the end of 2014, about 6 months before I officially retired. And so I ended up serving 20 years total, and then right at about 10 years active duty in the Guard on our counter-drug program. So no, 20 years was never the plan. I don't think it is for most people. I ended up just falling in love with military service. I loved being a medic. Of course, there was a deployment to Iraq in there as well. I was the senior medic for a cavalry unit. And I loved everything about the military. I loved the structure and the discipline, and as kind of cliche as it sounds sometimes, I really thrived in that environment, and so just continued to serve till I hit the 20 years.
What was it that you liked about your role as a medic during your time in service?
So being a medic, there really is, I think, I'm a little biased, but there's no greater job to be able to not only go out with the warfighter, but then and to have a lot of those same skills as just a basic infantryman, and you're considered part of that team. But then also to have the skills to be able to help wounded soldiers, in the battlefield. And also as a female, especially at the time I was in, being a medic allowed me the opportunity to be attached to units that I otherwise wouldn't be able to work with. That's what I always really liked about it, is it allowed me, especially as a female service member, to just kind of have some more opportunities and do more things that aren't always afforded to female service members.
you had a kind of a career direction leaving the military, where you were down in North Carolina, University of North Carolina, and you looked like you were heading a certain way. Although you still had everyone back in Washington State, and you were far away from them. But talk about that transition now that you're out of the military and you've got this career path, and then what happens next with you?
Mm-hmm. So it's weird. My transition out of the military was actually pretty good. It is a rude awakening for a lot of people, especially
Right.
when you can't find employment that is equal or greater to than what you're doing, whether it's the job itself, the income. There's a lot of changes that veterans are not always prepared for. I was putting applications in everywhere, around home. And I couldn't even get an interview. And, but also I didn't have to apply for a real job, if you will. It had been years. I kind of just started looking out of state and other opportunities. And for some reason, my brain took me to North Carolina, and let's just look and see what's out there. I'd never even been to North Carolina. And saw a job opportunity and just decided to apply. I had absolutely zero intention that they would actually even call me back, let alone invite me out for an interview. And yeah, so I ended up getting offered the job. 2 months later, was living in North Carolina, working at the healthcare center at UNC. So, and I thought that was really what I wanted to do. It was a healthcare administration position. And then I went from having a pretty fun job in the military to sitting in an office, looking at a computer all day, working on spreadsheets. And about 6 months in, I was like, I don't know if this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing for the rest of my life. This is not it. We got to figure something else out.
As maybe fate would have it, that job kind of changed on you, and then you found yourself, I think, maybe looking for the next thing. And at some point, you got connected with the right people, and then out of that comes Canine Salutes. But how did that happen?
Yeah. So before I left the service, I had another business idea that I was working on. I've always kind of had a little bit of a entrepreneurship bug. The military has a track when you retire. So there's, different options of learning how to write your resume, or if you want to go back to school, they help you in all these different paths. And they had started offering an entrepreneurship track for people that wanted to start their own business after military service. And so I ended up doing that option. Kind of had this idea. So I actually wanted to open an indoor dog park and beer garden, because that sounds amazing.
That is one great combination. Yeah.
Yes. And oddly enough, those are popping up all over the country now. But when I was looking into it, it wasn't quite a trend yet. Yes, as fate would have it, about 10 months into this job at UNC, well, prior to me even starting there, they had some outside consultants that were in the department to make things operate more smooth and change the processes around. So in those process improvements, that also meant eliminating my position. So 10 months into my job, and only, I don't know, a month or so after I closed on a house, I was laid off. I wasn't that worried. The Raleigh-Durham area is right there in the Research Triangle Park. There are companies, global corporations that are headquartered there, a lot of tech, a lot of healthcare. I thought, I'll probably get a job next week. In fact, I'm probably going to have so many people that want me to work for them. I'm, going to have to deny everyone.
Right.
That absolutely was not the case. I was back to square one. I ended up meeting some other veterans in the area. I literally Googled veteran entrepreneurs in North Carolina just to see what would pop up. And There ended up being an event about 10 minutes away from my house that I found that was coming up, and it was called Startup Veterans. And that right there was really the turning point for kind of my next path. It was a ton of veterans, which was just great to meet anyway, since, you know, I still didn't know a lot of people in the area. And I just met so many great people in that community, and it really sparked something in me. And so in January of 2016, there were 8 police canines killed in the line of duty. And, you know, I've always been a dog lover. And I've always followed what working dogs are doing, especially military dogs, police dogs. And in that particular month, it was just one after another, it seemed like. And I just kept seeing all these dogs, you know, on social media and things that were getting killed in the line of duty. And by the end of that year, when I first started my business in 2016, there were over 30 dogs that were killed. There was like 32 or 33 dogs. And so, but that first month when the idea for Canine Salute really sparked, completely wasn't planned, accidental, kind of one of those aha moments. It was after the 4th canine had been killed that month. And I was reading a dog magazine, actually, when kind of around the same time that I heard about that dog. And I remember looking at all these dog products, and I'm like, what? This product isn't any good. Why would someone buy this? How is this this $1 million company? You know, not like, it just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, I could do this way better. And so, and so something just sparked in my head about, let's do some type of dog treat, tell the stories of these dogs, bring awareness to the public. We can raise money or whatever. And so all these ideas just kind of started happening. From there, it really just snowballed and took off. So I started Canine Salute in unofficially January of 2016. So Canine Salute is a natural dog treat company. And on the back of every bag of treats, there's a tribute to a fallen canine. There's a beautiful photo, and then there's a short bio about the dog. Both the photo and the bio about the dog comes directly from the canine handler. So I reach out to the handler of the dog, you know, months or years after, if I find a dog that has an interesting or unique story that we might want to share. I get in touch with them, and I get permission from that handler or maybe from the department. So it just tells a little story about a dog that, you know, that gave their life in service. And that's kind of where, you know, really honoring the dogs and telling the stories comes into. And then when I first started, when I was, you know, much smaller and living in North Carolina, I had access to a lot of farms, and there's actually a lot of programs for veterans that go into the agriculture industry.
Right.
And I met this, you know, really great kind of salty Marine that was a farmer. And so we met and we hit it off, and he really connected me to a lot of, you know, just resources in the area also. And so at first I was able to actually source some of my ingredients from veteran-owned farms. That's always what I was trying to do, is also to help other veterans in business. And I thought, how cool if I could source ingredients from fellow veterans that are farmers. And so I was able to do that, you know, probably about the first year and a half or so. And then when I started outsourcing the manufacturing process, which it is now, that kind of had to take a back seat. Hopefully, as the business grows and things change a little bit, you know, I can get back to that a little bit.
So you mentioned about that connection, whether veterans with farmers and veterans being around animals, there is that therapeutic sense to that. And we have this wonderful program coming up at the museum. It's Pets for Vets Week, which is coming up next week here at the museum. And we're going to have some canine handlers. We're going to have the local police department and their canine unit here. We're going to have some adoption opportunities for people. We're going to have the Wounded Warrior Dog display, part of that exhibition here. Some great handcrafted dogs that are on display for that. The artists will be here, and really just a whole kind of week about connecting not just people to vets, but vets to pets, so to speak. And I'm curious, Jessica, as to what you think about how strong that connection can get between veterans and dogs, or service animals, or just veterans and companion dogs, that create a bond that really just those two probably understand, and people see it when they walk by, but it just becomes something so strong. And all we've done is probably introduce this veteran to this dog, so to speak, and then it just happens from there. So have you seen that in what you've been doing, and how do you think or why do you think that's important as far as that connection?
Well, one, I mean, service dogs are so amazing in any capacity. And,
right.
We see them assisting people with disabilities, whether it's in their daily, whatever their daily tasks are in their daily life. Service dogs also really have other advantages that enhance emotional well-being from their unique bond with that owner. What we also really see, and what I think is really special with the service dogs, is it helps the veteran develop a lot of social confidence. Having that companion animal gives them more confidence in just going out into the world, being, engaged in their community.
I'm going to let you brag just for a minute, because since you started Canine Salutes, you've been noticed by some people too. And we've had some of those groups in some of our conversations in the museum over the past 2 years. But I know there's a connection with you to Shark Tank, and I know with Bob Evans Farms Heroes program, you were recognized for that. So I'm going to let you brag for a minute about some of the stuff that Canine Salute's been amplified by through your efforts. So how have you guys been recognized?
So I actually won 2 national business competitions. So the first one was through SCORE, which is a business mentoring organization. It was through them and Sam's Club. It was a big business contest where they selected 2 businesses from each state. And then a few months after that, I entered another contest with Bob Evans Farms, the Heroes to CEOs contest. So I entered this contest. They chose 3 veterans out of, I don't know, I think there was maybe 150 applicants or so. Each of us received a $25,000 business grant. They flew us out to New York for an all-day event. And then we had a mentoring session, a one-on-one mentoring session with Damon John from Shark Tank.
Did you ever think that 5 years ago, this is what you'd be doing? And now I'm sure you have other plans. This is what I'm going to do next with this, or this is going to grow. 5 years ago, did you think that was going to happen, or what?
No, not at all. Entrepreneurs in general are just kind of a unique breed, but the veteran entrepreneur community it's full of just resilient people, and it's people that are just finding a way to continue to serve in some capacity after they leave the military. That to me has been one of the most special things, and why I want to continue growing the business, and just the amount of collaboration among veteran business owners and veteran organizations such as yourself is just, it's absolutely tremendous what so many other businesses and organizations do for us. And I really hope to be able to kind of give that back in some way also to other veterans that want to go into entrepreneurship maybe.
Well, I can't. That's a great way to sum it up, Jessica. And I think, you mentioned this all started when you found that there was this veteran business group meeting 10 minutes from where you lived. And then it just blossomed from there. And I think it's a great word to say, it's blossomed. I mean, I think what your organization, your little company, it does such great things, such bigger things. And I think people realize, and we're just excited to share that or expand that for people today in this spotlight. So if you guys want to get more information about Canine Salutes, you can go to Jessica's website and find out how you can be connected to that as well at caninesalute.com. And a reminder that next week we have Pets for Vets here at the NVMM. It's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. A lot of great programming going on. You can get all that information on our website at nationalvmm.org. Jessica, again, thanks for talking to us today and being our spotlight for the month. It was great to get to know you on a personal level. I mean, we saw you in the book, The 20-Year War, and we'll talk more about that. We are going to be putting that book into an exhibition here at the museum come springtime. I think we'll find a way to get Jessica here to the National Veterans War Museum. So we'll find a way when we get that exhibition out to the public to make sure that you're a part of it.
Yes, I will absolutely be there.
Jessica, again, thanks for talking with us today. And again, for all this great programming and more, visit our website at nationalvmm.org. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.